Was the thrill of victory stolen from Daniel Dubois last night? He experienced the agony of defeat. Olexsandr Usyk pulled out all the tricks, warrior spirit, complained a lot. I really enjoyed that fight. Let's talk about it.
The thrill of victory.
Boxing.
The agony, defeat. The thrill of victory. The agony, defeat.
Okay, welcome back to the channel. I hope everyone is doing well today. Shout out to all the subscribers. Thank you so much for tuning in, and big up to anybody new. I hope you got a chance to watch that fight. Some people online didn't really enjoy it that much. I really enjoyed that fight. I thought it was a compelling watch, and I really was impressed by Daniel Dubois. Obviously, we're gonna get into all the details. There's so much to talk about this fight. A lot happened. Okay, let's start off from round one to as it built up. Okay, obviously I thought Dubois was going to come out a bit more heavy-handed and a bit more aggressive, but he elected to box a bit more, and he was getting outboxed. Okay, he was Usyk was beating him to the punch, especially with that jab, and he was landing the cleaner shots and popping Dubois' head back a little bit. Dubois doesn't move his head that much. I'll get onto that a little bit later, because I think, you know, what it boiled down to is Dubois going backwards and not moving his head is how you beat him, and landing body shots on Usyk is how you beat him. So they were both trying to do that at some point throughout the fight. But as the rounds went on, Dubois, like, he was really, you could see he was really working hard, you know, and that was my main concern about him getting stopped. I thought he would get stopped in the 10th or 11th, because he would end up either using a lot of energy early, and then just his computer would just malfunction. You know, like, and it kind of did, to be honest. He had a little malfunction. I had a nickname for him, mate. I felt bad about saying it. Like, you know, his nickname's Triple D. Maybe we should call him Triple Knee, because I've never seen a fighter take as many knees as he does. But at the same time, like, he fought gallantly, you know. Like, it's weird. It's weird what happens to him. It really is. I can't quite explain it, because he was in there fighting as hard as he could. You know, he's going to be a handful. If Carl Froch called him like the future of the heavyweight division, I'll talk a bit more about that as well, because yeah, you might think he's got a bright future, and he probably does, but you know, if he starts getting touched with straight jabs, I mean, it's like that's the blueprint, really. Straight punches and back him up. But he was trying to land that slip uppercut, okay, body shot, which he ended up catching him in the 5th. We'll get to that, but he was trying. They planned for that, because there's another channel I follow, the Boxing Scholar, and he picked up a video where AJ was doing that, okay, or had some success with that, slipping under Usyk's jab, coming underneath with an uppercut. And, you know, Usyk obviously does not like body shots. We spoke about that pre-fight. But Biev's dropped him with this. This is no secret. And I even said, you know, maybe he's got to get dirty with him, and maybe, like, you know, not hit him in the crown jewels. But I didn't know he was going to actually nearly do it. And I will bring up that in a minute, because I've got a lot to say on that, because there's some guy in Hatman's Element chat who was just lying to everybody, saying it was actually in the nether regions, which it wasn't. But round 4, Dubois had a pretty good round, okay. I don't think he quite won it, but he did land that. If you watch that, it's about the 2-minute mark. He slips under the jab, comes back with the right uppercut. He also did it in round 2, but it was more of an uppercut to the chest area. So that was an absolutely, they planned for that. They practiced that. That was definitely part of the game plan. And he stuck to it. Even though he was getting outboxed, even though he was getting, you know, beat to the punch consistently, his head getting popped back. And you got to give him so much credit. I've got so much, like, admiration for him, because I really thought he fought the fight his best he could have done. He was up against it with the ref. Look, this is to be expected, all right? I know I'm not, this is what it is. Home cooking is a real thing, not just in boxing, but more so in boxing, because there's no governing bodies looking over, and they just get away with it blatantly, and no one can say anything about it. So it is what it is. But, you know, even like ESPN, the commentators weren't so bad, but they weren't really playing Dubois highlights, you know, like if he landed a shot, because he landed some clean, hard shots even later on, even after getting, you know, lit up in the 7th and 8th. He was still landing clean shots, but like you'd have to rewatch it and go, oh, because I watched the fight about 2 or 3 times. I was up really early this morning, and I made a different video because it was so early. It was like 4 in the morning. I've been getting up that early anyway, but I worked on a different video, and I was like, I need to get some sleep. So I went back to sleep for a little bit, and now I'm doing this. Is why it's a bit late, but I like to take my time with it and, you know, put a theme behind it. Shout out to anybody that knows that Wu-Tang song that I sampled. And that, Mark, if you're watching, that beat's for you, bro. I've got to finish it. But anyway, round 5. Okay. I think this was a fairly early on in the round too, right? In like 2:30 or something like that. Usyk, they're in the pocket-ish. Usyk kind of paused with the jab. Dubois comes underneath with an absolutely beautiful, perfectly placed. When I say placed, I just mean that from a technique standpoint, right? When I watched that live, I was like, wow, that was a great shot. That wasn't low. And when I saw the replay, I was like, that was a good shot. Carl Frampton also was like, oh, he should be the champion, blah, blah, blah. Then, you know, when you watch and you know, you have to like take it all in and be objective about it. And there's so many different angles out there that actually, really, when you break it down, it could have been a bit low. It could have been a bit, probably a low blow, probably. You know, when you really look at it, you think, okay, yeah, I can see. And then if you, okay, let's just say we're talking about millimeters here, right? In the heat of the moment, the ref, to be fair to him, has got to make a quick decision. He's right there. I can't really blame the ref for doing what he did, calling it a low blow in that moment. Do you know what I mean? I just like it's impossible to be there and just say, okay, how can you know? Because like you know, Usyk, he also at the time might have generally felt it was a low blow too. You know, like the knuckle, there was, you know, it was a shot like that landed. It was a beautiful shot. I mean, I can't express how technically great that was. Come on, boom, like that. And he was in agony. Usyk was in agony, and you know, he was being told, the ref said, look, you got time, and he took his time. Look, he's a veteran, he knows the rules, he knew what he was doing. Would he have gotten up is the question. Now, he's gotten up before, but has he been hit like that before? I mean, look, he's a warrior. He came back spirited. We know this. I would have suggested he would have got up. The question is, would he have been able to make it to the final belt? It was so much time in that round. Dubois was coming on strong. When you're a fighter and you see you feel your enemy or opponent hurt, I mean, you go for the kill. Dubois would have likely have stopped Usyk if he'd have got up, which I do believe Usyk would have got up. And look, you could also say, well, he's a wily veteran, he'd have probably, you know, clinched, and yeah, maybe. I'd have personally put money on Dubois stopping Usyk if he'd have got up. There was so much time and he was in so much pain and agony. Perhaps you could also say, well, he was play acting a little bit to give it, maybe, but that was a hell of a shot, and Dubois is a powerful man, and that was a perfectly placed shot. And yeah, it was, you know, but even if let's just say it was a quarter of an inch higher, right, and it was just legal wherever that area is, you really think like it would have been the same amount of pain? But you know, we're going, yeah. I just thought, looking back at it, I can see why, you know, how it ended up. Because when I first, I was like, mate, they not robbed Dubois, but I was like, that was a perfect shot. But you know, you got to be objective about it, and you got to put yourself in the ref's shoes, and you got to say, okay, fair enough. Like, it's not the worst, like blatant corruption or anything, because he's got a split second to see that, and it did, you know, it did end up looking a little bit, tiny bit low. And you look at all the pros that have come out. Not everybody. People are saying it was and wasn't. Yeah. Of course the ref's going to say, yeah, that looked like a low blow when he's live, especially when he's the house ref. But I don't think it was anything too, like, you know, he's going to lean that way. But yeah, that's all I'll say about that. Then obviously, look, Usyk had like, you know what, 17 minutes to recover. Oh, that guy that I was talking to, right, was trying to tell me that Usyk got hit in his nuts. Mate, you need to go to Specsavers and buy yourself a pair of glasses, put them on, and then have another look, because it clearly wasn't. So you're lying to yourself, and you're lying to me and everybody in that group. So stop doing that. Okay, that's all I'll say on that. I don't have time for liars. It wasn't on Usyk's nutsack. It was a little bit lower than his belly button, which the ref didn't actually do the, you know, when he tells people this is a little bit high, this is a little bit low, because, you know, cups can you know, cups are quite thick when you put them on. Like, they can be the area that covers it is quite you know, 4 or 5 inches sometimes, depending on the brand. But and they can float up. Usually, you look at Anthony Yard's cup when he was fighting Better Beer, that was really high. So it's like, you know, give and take. But after that, you know, Dubois, like, Usyk turned it on, okay? And he was catching Dubois with clean, straight shots. That left hand started to find a target. And once he started backing Dubois up, he started to realize that Dubois can't fight going backwards. And that was the big trouble. That was a massive problem. And, you know, Usyk could tell that. Something that I found interesting, Paulie Malignaggi spoke about, and they touched on it in the commentary a little bit, was you could hear the squeaking when they were moving around in the ring, like it was wet. You know, it was raining, and it was like they were saying it wasn't covering the edges that much. So was there dampness getting in the ring? And Paulie was saying that, you know, it looked like it was affecting how they were maneuvering. You could certainly hear the squeaking, and the commentary team commented on that, and that probably did have an effect on how the fight played out as well. They both had to deal with it at the end of the day, but, you know, it does make you wonder I don't know if that, because I saw Usyk and I wasn't when I first saw him, I was like, he's not moving as well as I'm used to seeing him, and I just thought, you know, well, maybe it's the age and stuff like that. But then you think about the dampness of it, that could have played a part, which could also, if you're talking about Fury licking his chops at the thought of that, I mean, what if he wasn't moving and didn't look as fluid because of the wet? Just throwing it out there, maybe. But Dubois kept trying. You know, he landed a really hard straight right hand at the beginning of the 8th round. Don't think the commentary team, Tim Bradley mentioned it, but they didn't show it, I don't think, in the highlights. It's just, Dubois just didn't get any coverage in the highlights at all. But it was a great shot. Usyk took it on the chin, but he even like in the 7th, Dubois was still trying to land that uppercut. Very rarely, but he was still trying. You got to give him credit. He really tried, you know. And then I don't know when he took a knee. Was it in the 8th? I don't know. He took a knee, and then in the 9th, he ended up getting stopped by like that kind of a half swivel jab, like lead hand, which caught him bang on the chin. Went down. Excuse the train. He didn't get the opportunity to get up for 10. And normally I'm very hard on fighters that do quit, and it did look like he really didn't want it anymore because his computer malfunctioned. All right, the little ball that I talk about that AJ's is on the verge of malfunctioning a lot of times because he's thinking so much. Dubois malfunctioned, and it's malfunctioned before, and it will probably malfunction again if people get the right game plan with him, because the look on his face, I think it was after the 7th, it was the same look that he had in the corner of Joy Joyce in like the 4th or 5th, where they were talking to him, and he was like, oh, got hit with a body shot or something like that, and he looked like void of any emotion, or not any. He looked beat at the end of the 7th briefly, but he still came back and still tried in the 8th. That's why it's this weird, like, he's got heart and courage, but it just abandons him when, you know, the computer system just malfunctions. It's really weird, you know, but he's done himself proud. A lot of people saying that he should be the unified champion. You know, yeah, of course, Frank Warren and Dev, I forget his last name, you know, the whole team, they're going to say that. And Don Charles was asking for VAR. You know, that probably, the thing is with VAR, because it's so split, you'd have probably, I don't know if it would have made much difference. I don't know if I want VAR in boxing. I would like it sometimes, but when they brought it into football, it's just started ruining the game a little bit. Excuse me, for me anyway, because even with the technology, they were still getting calls wrong. It was just weird, and it slows the game down, it slows the fight down. But I would like to have it for knockdowns, you know, and especially, I don't know about VAR, but nonetheless, Usyk, look, he fought really well as well. He certainly complained far too much for my liking, and that started early on from the second. And back to that channel, the Boxing Scholar, where he picked up, you know, several clips of Usyk complaining to the ref in the Chisora fight and in the AJ fight, and it's just like, you know, just what he's got, such a warrior spirit. He's such a great fighter, you know what I mean? You know, just like all the complaining, it almost tarnishes it a little bit, you know. It's really annoying, all his complaints. It's just like, just get on with the fight. But I guess he's doing it. He's the wily veteran. He's getting the advantages, getting the ref on his side. It's not something I like to see. But nonetheless, look, he did what he needed to do when he needed to do it, and that's what real champions do. And in terms of what they do next, look, it's concerning for Dubois, given how he ended the fight, like I said, and what he does next. I think he will be in the mix to beat any of the heavyweights, to be honest with you, because he's so powerful and strong, and he's going to keep people, you know, honest. But there is a blueprint to beat him, obviously. I mean, even before Usyk, you know, just jabbing, if you can keep him at bay. But Joyce is a big, physical, strong heavyweight. If you let Dubois come onto you and let his shots go, I mean, or even if he's boxing neatly, he's going to land something. Do you know what I mean? And that he's got fight-changing, fight-ending power and strength. All you got to do, though, or all you got to do, just keep your punches straight and back him up. And you know, his computer will malfunction. But in terms of Usyk and Fury, obviously that's the fight we're talking about. We want. Fury's got this joke of a fight with Ngannou, which, you know, won't tell us anything. But after that, I'm sure Usyk's performance at times, because there's some people saying but again, I'll go back to the slippery mat. I don't think Usyk also looked like, there was something about his physique that looked like not as defined. Only a tiny bit. I could be wrong, but I just felt like, you know, maybe the age is not saying he looked aged, that age overnight thing, but if you're Fury and you take that in, you think, yeah, okay, it might give him more incentive to get in the ring with him and get that fight going. But I don't know. Yeah, it was good. It was really interesting. But I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know your thoughts. Was it low? Wasn't it low? Like, you know, look, like I said, when I watched it, I thought it was low. I thought it was a good shot. I watched the highlight. I thought it was a good shot. Then later on, I thought it was probably a little bit low. Then I watched it again, and because there's so many angles. And when you freeze frame it too, the punch travels up like that. So some of the angles and some of the shots, the fist might not have finished its trajectory. And then by the time you get to there, it looks like it is like legal-ish. But I don't know. It probably was a shade low. Do you know what I mean? But nonetheless, interesting fight, and that is it. But I'll have a few more videos out tomorrow. I've got loads to do today. Mark, if you're still listening, mate, I'm going to work on that beat. I'll get that over to you soon. And yeah, it's Sunday today. Hope you have a great rest of the weekend and a good week, and I'll see you soon.
Let's win the victory.
Boxing.
The agony, defeat. Let's win the victory. The agony, defeat.